Hello there, very good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News. We're coming to you live and direct from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Sonali Manikabadage.
And I'm Ramesh Bandara. First, a look at the headlines tonight. President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that he has a responsibility to protect all religions. The accused in the killing of former MP T. Maheshwaran sentenced to death. Minister Rishabh Badiuddin granted bail by the Mannar Magistrates Court. Australia's immigration minister says that illegal migrants will no longer be processed in Australia.
Starting off with one of our headline-making stories on tonight's news, the accused in the assassination of former UNP parliamentarian T. Maheshwaran was sentenced to death by the Colombo High Court today.
High Court Judge Sunil Rajapaksa handed the death sentence while delivering the verdict in the case. Indictments had been filed by the Attorney General against the accused for the assassination of former UNP MP T. Maheshwaran and another person who was shot dead on the 1st of January 2008 while they were at the Shivam Kovil in Kotahena. Based on two eyewitness accounts, DNA evidence and other evidence, the suspect was found guilty of the murder. Tyagaraja Maheshwaran, who was born on the 10th of January 1966 in Jaffna, was a product of St. John's College, Jaffna. A businessman by profession, Maheshwaran was involved in politics with the United National Party since the 90s. He was 42 years old at the time of his demise.
Minister Rishabh Badiuddin, who appeared before the Mannar Magistrates Court today for allegedly attempting to influence the magistrate over the telephone, was released on bail. The minister was ordered to pay cash bail of 10,000 rupees and provide two sureties of 500,000 rupees each.
The minister, in his bail application, had given an undertaking that he would appear in court on any given date. Accordingly, the magistrate appointed to preside over the hearings, Ranga Disanayake, ordered Minister Badiuddin to appear in court on the 4th of October. Meanwhile, the 22 suspects arrested in connection with attacking the Mannar Magistrates Court and damaging public property were further remanded until the 10th of this month. The order was issued when the suspects were produced before the Mannar Magistrates Court today. Meanwhile, Justice Disanayake also ordered the CID to arrest the 5 remaining suspects in the incident for whom warrants have already been issued.
Yet another gruesome double murder bound to send shockwaves through civilized society was reported to us yesterday. One of the victims of the lone gunman hiding behind a mask was a 4-year-old child, the other her father.
The village of Moragahahena in Horana is located away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Susantha Premakumara, who was a resident of the area, made a living by managing livestock and lending money.
He has not done any wrong. He always comes forward for any activity.
32-year-old Susantha's 4-year-old daughter, Tushana Navanchana, began her preschool education only recently. They got ready to go to my brother's house. He left carrying our daughter on his shoulders. Although the father, mother and daughter left their home at around 7:50 p.m, they could proceed only a few meters.
When we were preparing to have dinner, I heard what sounded like a cracker. I asked my wife if there was a wedding in the neighborhood.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ සිදුවන ඝාතන අතරට එක් වූ තවත් ඝාතනයක් ඊයේ රාත්‍රියේ අපට වාර්තා වුණා.
Yet another murder adding to the wave of killings taking place in the country was reported to us yesterday. I am currently in the Millava area in Polhena where a father and daughter were murdered. You can witness the crime scene behind me.
පියාට වෙඩි තබා ඝාතනය කර තිබෙනවා.
Tushana Navanchana, who turned 4 years only a few weeks ago, was one of the victims of the shooting. A masked gunman is reported to have carried out the shooting. Area residents say that they heard 3 shots being fired. It is not yet clear as to what weapon was used to carry out the shooting. The bullets that were aimed at Susantha also struck little Tushana, and one of the bullets had penetrated her skull. When we visited the area, we got to know that Susantha's parents are cancer patients. We are cancer patients. My son was the one who looked after us every day. He gave us a means to live on. Tushana Navanchana's mother, who also sustained injuries in the shooting, is receiving treatment at the Horana hospital. According to the police, 2 police teams have been deployed to investigate the shooting.
Chris Bowen, Australia's Minister of Immigration and Citizenship, says illegal immigrants will not be processed in Australia in the future, but instead they will be processed in Papua New Guinea and Nauru. He revealed this exclusively to News First Shamir Rasuldeen.
The issue of illegal migration is now under the lens of the Sri Lankan authorities. The police department has combined with the Navy to arrest illegal migrants following the 2 tragedies that were reported off the Australian seas 2 months ago. Releasing official data, the police department noted that 1,200 individuals had been arrested for attempting to illegally migrate to Australia this year alone. This is a 150% increase compared to previous years. Meanwhile, in the latest development, another 76 persons who attempted to illegally migrate to Australia were arrested in Trincomalee and Point Pedro. Navy media spokesperson Commander Kosala Warnakulasuriya said that 76 persons had been arrested while travelling in 2 boats. While 54 persons were on board the vessel captured off Point Pedro, the vessel captured in Trincomalee had 24 persons on board. The Navy media spokesperson said that the group had been handed over to the CID for further investigations. Now, what is the position of the Australian government? Joining us now is Chris Bowen, Australia's Minister of Immigration and Citizenship. Thank you very much, Minister, for joining us this evening. Let me start off asking you, what is the position of your government on illegal immigration?
Australia is a humane nation, a compassionate nation. We take many refugees, but this must be through the proper processes, through application in other countries, and then Australia agreeing to accept those claims. We do not agree or encourage in any way people coming to Australia by boat.
Minister, why has your government adopted a reactive approach and not a proactive one to combat the issue of illegal immigration? Now, this was very evident from the recent statement made by your Prime Minister as well.
We have faced some hurdles and some roadblocks, but we've broken through those now. We've got the legislation through to Parliament. It's been passed through both houses of Parliament. It is now the law of Australia, and we're implementing that law.
Many accuse your government of not having a clear policy on who an illegal immigrant and a potential refugee is. Tell me, Minister, how do you view the difference?
Well, of course we have a process for assessing who are genuine refugees and who are not. We do that very rigorously and we treat everybody humanely. But what we're not doing is providing an advantage to people who come by boat, as opposed to those many hundreds of thousands of people who apply to come to Australia as refugees in refugee camps around the world.
Are you satisfied the manner in which Sri Lanka has stepped up efforts to arrest boat people? Do you think more has to be done, Minister?
I think everybody, of course, across the world obviously needs to keep a focus on people smuggling issues, and I know the Sri Lankan government is doing that, so I do appreciate the efforts they've taken, yes.
Now it's 3 years since the end of the conflict here in Sri Lanka. Does your government still accept refugees from Sri Lanka?
We assess everybody's claim on an individual case-by-case basis, and if they can establish that they are refugees, then they will not be returned. If they are not refugees, they will be returned.
Now a new law was implemented in your country. What will happen to the existing illegal immigrants?
Those who had arrived before last Monday will be processed and their claims assessed. If they are refugees, they will be granted visas. If they are not refugees, we will take steps to return them to their country.
So does that mean that illegal immigrants will not be processed in Australia now?
We are not processing people in Australia at the moment. Anybody who arrives in Australia from last Monday runs the risk of being transferred to Papua New Guinea or Nauru.
Minister, what is your message to the potential illegal immigrant?
That coming to Australia by boat not only risks your life, but is a complete waste of money. You will not get the product that you're after. I understand the wish of many people to live in Australia, but coming by boat is not a way that the Australian government will tolerate. It is a way that risks your life, and we will ensure that you are processed elsewhere and you receive no advantage in coming to Australia by boat.
Thank you very much, Minister, for joining us exclusively right here on News First.
Thank you very much.
Now, is it really worth risking your life in pursuit of an uncertain tomorrow? a question an immigrant has to answer before putting his life on the line. Shamir Rasuldeen, News First.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says he has a responsibility to safeguard all religions. The president made this statement during a public rally held in the Samanture area in support of UPFA candidates contesting the upcoming provincial polls.
The meeting was held at the Samanture town hall. Several ministers and parliamentarians participated in this meeting.
සිංහල ජනාධිපතිවත් මුස්ලිම් ජනාධිපතිවත් එහෙම නැත්නම් දෙමළ ජනතාවගේ ජනාධිපතිවත් නෙවෙයි.
I am everyone's president. I do not act as the president of the Sinhala people, the Tamil people or the Muslim people. I hold office as everyone's president. Therefore, I have a responsibility to safeguard all religions. Various people will come here during the election period and say various things. They will go to the temple and say that the temples are being attacked. Then they will go to the mosques and say that the mosques are being attacked. That is politics. However, when they come to the cabinet meeting, they are like mice. So the statements made by various people during elections are only to obtain votes and not sincere. I know that very well. The president also participated in a public rally that was held in Kalmune today.
We cannot understand how the government is guiding the Muslim community in this provincial council election. Now, this statement was made by Minister Rauf Hakim at a meeting in Kenya yesterday.
None of us can understand how this government is guiding the Muslim community in this provincial council election. The government dissolved these provincial councils a few years before their term ended. When they found out that the provincial council was to be dissolved, the chief minister of the eastern province, Pillayan, and a group came together and passed a resolution stating that they will not allow it. 2 weeks after it was passed, they received an invitation to visit temple trees. When it was mentioned that their signatures were required to dissolve the provincial council, they kept silent and signed it. No government has done such an injustice to us. J.R. Jayawardena, Premadasa, Vijay Tunga, Chandrika and Sirimavo also rule the country. We face no problems under their governments.
Speaking at a public rally in Eravur, Batiklo yesterday, UNP MP Ravi Karunanayake said that the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress has taken on a split personality.
Muslim Congress here.
The Muslim Congress berates Mahinda Rajapaksa during the evening and then goes on to embrace him in the morning. They say that Mahinda Rajapaksa is good when speaking to the people in the Sabaragamuwa and North Central provinces. However, they come to the Eastern province and state that Mahinda Rajapaksa is destroying mosques. Do not let the Muslim Congress auction your votes. The rally was organised to garner support for UNP candidates contesting the Eastern Provincial Council polls. Meanwhile, MP Karunanayake also toured the Muttur area recently.
UNP Deputy Leader Sajid Premadasa says that the actions of ministers clearly portray how the country is being turned into the miracle of Asia. He made this comment during a public rally in the Galimbinduwa area in Anuradhapura today.
The public rally was held in the Sivalakulama area in Galimbinduwa in support of UNP candidates contesting the upcoming provincial council polls. The Auditor General's Department says that 720 million rupees has been spent on importing substandard medicine. The ministers who rule this country are the ones who are robbing money belonging to the state. However, they boast that they are going to create the miracle of Asia.